It is Friday and we've got to get down. Welcome back to the Close Friends List podcast. It's Maddie here, trying to find some new fun intros. So I thought that would be a good one. But anyway, you guys, I have made a change in my life that is helping me live my true self. And it is that I have pink hair. Oh, I've always wanted pink hair. I've wanted it ever since I was a kid. And my friend Bree, who I used to work with, made those dreams come true. So thank you, Bree, for the pink hair. So for today's episode, I did an Ask Me Anything on Instagram. And honestly, Ask Me Anything, it fuels my people, the white girls in my community and the white girls of Instagram. So we are obsessed with AMAs, is what we call it, Ask Me Anything stickers. Honestly, sometimes I think that the AMA questions are fake. Like, really? There's someone out of your 208 followers who asked you what your goals are for this next year? Well, no, there's no way. Anyway, so I'm just going to dive right into these questions you guys had for me. Some of them were really good, and I'm hoping that they will drive some really good conversation. None of them are fake. None of them are just coming from me or Finsta or my other accounts. The first one was, what is one of your hidden talents? I don't even have shown talents, so we'll skip that one. My job history, somebody asked. Let's see. So I was a nanny. I was a nanny first for a really long time. That was pretty crazy because the family that I nannied for when I started, they had 2 kids, and by the time I left, they had 5. So, things were happening in that household, and they had so many kids. Let's see what else. I was a bubble tea barista, which that was quite a disaster. I am literally afraid of blenders. I'm like, why did I do that? I am actually afraid of blenders because when I was a kid, my mom was like blending something and I stuck a spoon in there and it chopped it up and I think the spoon flew back at my face and like I've been scared ever since. And so I don't know why I decided to take that job. I think it was like the only one I could get at the time. Oh my God, I totally forgot about this embarrassing story from this job. Oh, one of my literally worst mistakes that I've made on a job happened at this bubble tea place. So we did bubble tea and ice cream. And you know how ice cream has samples? They have like the little wooden spoons and people can ask for samples and you hand it to them. At least in our pre-corona world. This was like back in what would have been like 2015 or 16. And so I was giving out an ice cream sample and it was maybe my second day working. And this lady, I give her a sample of like, I don't know, cookies and cream. And she goes, I think you just grabbed this spoon out of the dirty spoon pile. And I look and she was right. I literally was serving people samples with the used spoons. I was like, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? So then I'm humiliated. She says this. And then she goes, whatever, sticks it in her mouth and tastes it. And me and everyone else in that place was horrified. There was probably 2 other customers waiting and we were all like, oh my God, pre-corona, that was crazy. But now, like during this pandemic, if someone were to do that, I mean, I would call the police. Anyway. Let's see what else. And then I worked at a swimming pool for a little bit. And then I worked at another swimming pool. I worked at a hair salon. The hair salon was just a shit show. I love the people that I met there. That was probably the reason why I stayed, was because I really liked the people I worked with. And I honestly enjoyed being at work. But let me tell you, that job is the reason why I am thick today, because that gave me thick skin. I literally just got yelled at by old white men all day long. I'm not joking. It was intense because the hair salon was so poorly managed and the idea of it was terrible. Even I remember when I got the job, my dad was like, why would you work there? It is literally the actual worst hair salon. So our Yelp reviews were at 2 stars, and it's not even because of the bad haircuts. I don't know if the haircuts were bad or not, but it's literally because the system is terrible. It's a broken system there. Literally. So what would happen was we didn't take any appointments. So my job was people would come in and I would put their name on this list. And basically I would have to guesstimate what time they could get their hair cut at. It was basically like a restaurant, you know? So we couldn't take any appointments. So I get yelled at for that. And then, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. How am I supposed to know how long, you know, Tiffany's going to take on a men's haircut, you know? And there was a few times where people were like, get their haircut. And then they're like, actually, I literally hate this. You need to basically redo my entire hair. And so then they would give 2 haircuts. So I just like, how am I supposed to know? Literally, how am I supposed to know? So I remember when I was introduced to this concept, I was just overwhelmed, and I rightfully so. And I mean, I had men who would scream at me because I told them it was going to be 20 minutes when it was going to be 40. I mean, there was someone who slammed their hands on my desk and was like, "You ruined my night, my family's night." One of the most savage things was it was such an intense work environment because the customers were terrible that my manager used to say, you know what, there's a point in customer service where you just can't anymore and you just give them right back to them. Like, she would always tell me that, which was shocking. But I was like, okay, I guess I'll go with it. But honestly, I wasn't that savage that often. My coworker was, though. Literally one time, this guy was actually yelling at him over the phone, just saying, you know, I need my hair cut because I have a photo shoot tomorrow. I can't wait that long. I have a photo shoot. Like, he kept talking about how he has a photo shoot, right? And my coworker literally said, you're going to need more than a haircut. You're probably going to need a magician. And that was probably one of the craziest things I've ever heard an employee say to a customer. I was simply unwell. And then probably the only savage thing I can remember saying was I was on the phone once with a guy, and I called him because I realized his wait time went up. So I called him and I was like, hey, before you come back to the salon, just know I said it would be 20 minutes. It's probably going to be another 20 because it was just a long haircut. And he was like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, nah, nah, nah. Like, you wouldn't believe some of the things people said to me. I got called a bitch, a hoe, like so many things. Anyway, so this guy like was yelling at me. And I just kept going, I'm sorry. Like, just kept saying that. And he goes, no, you're not. You're not sorry. And then I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm fucking not sorry. I'm not sorry that you couldn't get your buzz cut on a Saturday morning. So that was quite the work environment. It was intense. But honestly, I loved the people I work with. You know, everyone had their own opinions on each other. A lot of drama happened there, and I loved drama. I wasn't a part of it, but I knew everything that went on. You know, those hairstylists, they thought that I wasn't hearing a peep. I heard everything. Like, I know everything about these people I worked with. So, anyway. And then, yeah, so now I have my job at the swimming pool. Once again, I guess I'm just made for pools. One time, this just randomly came up in my mind. When I was trying to get the job that I have now, when I was trying to get out of the hair salon job, I was interviewing like crazy, like just trying to find something, but staying at the hair salon. One of the places I interviewed was a gymnastics place for kids. I am not a gymnast. I'm too thick for that. And so I was just going to be like a scheduler and a receptionist. So I had this interview and they were asking me weird questions. Like, they were like, do you like your lattes hot or iced? Like, just random, I guess, quirky questions that just didn't make sense for an interview. But I was like, all right, I guess I'm going along with this. They asked me what my favorite movie was. And I said, The Country Bears. I was like, what did I just say? I literally said The Country Bears. That was maybe my favorite movie in 2002. But this was literally 2019. So can't believe I said that. And then like during the interview, they rejected me. So I don't know if like that had to do with it, or I can't think of any other reason why I wouldn't have been hired. Thanks a lot to The Country Bears. Now I can never watch that movie because it took away an opportunity for me. And I'm sure a great one. Okay, so this girl, Bria, asked me if I could share about dating app bios or open liners. Because on Bumble, when you match with guys, girls have to message first, which, I mean, whatever. Honestly, I don't have anything creative. Bumble has a lot of prompts, but the prompts are kind of creepy. Like, if I ever got that message, I'd be like, you're a creep. Like, it's like, are you saving for your 401k? Just kidding. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know how I feel about them. So, I usually do hey with a smiley face, which is like, so, I know I need to do better, but, that's usually what I do. I also like to do things that relate to their bios. I guess that's a good opener for me. Something that relates to their bio. But usually when I say hi, I get a response, and then we just kind of go on from there. Maybe my opener line should be, please listen to my podcast. So I guess finding something like that. I don't know. But some of the bios that I've seen, some of them lately, I mean, I cannot. Something that I see so often, at least like, for guys, is pineapple belongs on pizza. I'm like, what is that supposed to impress me? I didn't know that. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird. And then another thing that I always see in their bios is their Uber rating. Like, they're like, I have a 5-star Uber rating. I'm like, is that supposed to impress me? Like, congrats, you're not a shitty person to your Ubers. Now, what would take my attention is if you said my Uber rating was 1.5. Like, if it was super low, then I would be like, okay, now I'm intrigued. What did you do to get a bad rating? So maybe that needs to be your opening liner. Just like message them and say, my Uber rating is a 1.5. Do you want to know the story? Oh, that's a good one. But then you might have to make something up because who would have a 1.5? But anyway, let me just like take a look at Tinder and just kind of see what's going on here. I'm going to do a live look at Tinder to see what people's bios are out here and see if I've had any interesting opening liners. Ooh, I love this one. This is actually a good opening liner and a bio. It's from this guy named Jake. It says, if Corona can't take you out, can I? Or if Corona doesn't take you out, can I? That's a good one, Jake. Props to Jake. Oh my God, this guy Alex literally has the best bio I've seen so far. It says, stay home if you're sick, come through if you're thick. Love that one. Oh my God, Kevin. Okay, first of all, Kevin's job is listed as, and I quote, the boss, which in my mind means he's obviously like a shift lead at Starbucks. That's all he is, I'm sure. His bio, and this is going to have some explicit content, but his bio literally says, I hope you brought your Costco card because you're about to get this dick in bulk. Oh my God, Kevin. Kyle has one that's very relatable, I'm sure. It says, well, I'm 30 and on a dating app. Life is going as planned. I can't. Okay, literally 4 people asked me what my worst date was. I literally thought I shared that last week on my dating episode. And so thank you and shout out to those 4 people who obviously don't listen to this. Just kidding. But I can think of another worst date. There's a guy, this is probably my 2nd or 3rd time seeing him. Is it bad that I can't remember his name? But anyway, we were, we had seen each other twice. And then our 3rd date, we ended up just kicking it with a group of my friends at my friend Michaela's house. So it was me and this guy and then about 3 or 4 other people. So we go over to Michaela's apartment and we're hanging out. I think we watched a movie and talked, maybe played a game or something. And then my friend Paul stands up and he goes, I've got to go. I'll see you guys later. I got to go study for a test. And he starts to leave. And then the guy that I was seeing shots up from the couch and is like, hey dude, can I talk to you really quick? And Michaela and I both looked at each other and we were like, what are they about to talk about? What is happening here? And so he pulls him aside into Michaela's room. And first of all, Michaela turns to me and she goes, oh my God, I have bras on the ground and they're going to go talk in my room? And they come out. They're in there for quite some time. We're trying to listen to what they're saying and we can't get a word out of it. So they come out and Paul has the widest eyes. And he looks at Michaela in a way that was like, you better come outside and talk to me. I knew what was happening. So Michaela shot up and she goes, oh, I'll walk you out. So she goes out with Paul. And then the guy that I was seeing comes and sits. And I'm like, what was that, dude? And he was like, oh, nothing. And he was like, by the way, I probably should go here in a second too because I got an errand to run. I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, but I'll like hit you up later. So then I walked him out. And then I see Michaela and the guy leaves and I was like, bye. And then she turns to me. We're outside. He's like not even like halfway gone from the apartment yet. She goes, Maddie, you need to break things off with this guy tonight. I was like, what happened? Like, what just happened? I was not sure. She goes, he just offered Paul drugs. Like, very illegal drugs. And I thought that was hilarious, but I was like, dang. Yeah, that sucks. So definitely just cut him off for those reasons. Somebody has asked, what were you most shook by today? I'm trying to think. Probably a conversation that I had with my coworkers about how crappy this year has been. And I told her, I was like, honestly, I think this year went downhill because on Instagram at the beginning of the year. Okay, wait, let me think. Hang on. What were you most shook by today? A lot of things. I was at work for about 10 hours today. So there's a lot of things to be shook about when you're at work, especially when it's in customer service. But I guess one of the things was we got kind of bored today during like a downtime. And my friend Jackie and I were going through our Instagram archives just to see like what was going on. And I had realized that the reason why this year has gone downhill is because at the beginning of the year, I did one of those filters that says, which Kardashian are you? And I got Rob. I got Rob Kardashian. And I was like, that should have been my sign that this year was going to go downhill. And then Jackie was like, you got robbed. So that was really funny. And that had me shook. Another thing was a guy got super mad at me and was like, how are you the manager? Ugh, I hate when people ask me that. Like, I feel like a lot of people, honestly, I could write a book on how I have gotten disrespected in customer service because I'm a woman. And I'm sure that a lot of people can too. I just feel like it happens and it sucks. I can't think of what else I was shook by today. I guess those things. Somebody asked, how's Bubba? If you don't know who Bubba is my parents' dog. He's so cute. He's just very small. But honestly, here's how Bubba is. He has become a cranky old man. He is such an asshole. Like, I literally go over, I don't even call him my dog anymore. I go, that's my parents' dog, because I don't even want to be like associated with him, honestly, because he's such a jerk. He literally, I think it's because of his age. Like, he is the definition of get off my lawn, old man, but in dog form. So I think that was his past life. You know, I asked my coworkers today, I was like, what do you guys think the equivalent of Karen is for like the male side of it? And we decided it was Jeff. And so Bubba is like the Jeffs, you know, of the world. He's like, get off my lawn, and a jerk to everybody. But he's still so cute. He just hates people even more now. Somebody asked, what are some cringe first date moments that you've had? I guess just the cringiest thing is always when they talk about their ex. I'm like, oh my God, like, just go home and cry about it. Like, why are you out here with me if you're going to talk about your ex the whole time? I literally had a guy like list the things that he missed about her. And I was like, why are you telling me this? And he was like, oh, like, I guess to kind of like fill you in on like what I like. And I was like, this is a very strange way to go about it. So can you just like not talk about any gal of your past? Not because I'd get jealous, but just because it just comes off so wrong. Okay, so Carly, who sent me a long email with all these ideas, filled out the AMA thing and said, talk about your insecurities or literally anything else that I have sent you, because she sent me so many ideas, which all of her ideas are so awesome, but I feel like I need to take the time to like sit down and actually like consider them. But yeah, she asked, what are some of my insecurities? My mole. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a deep question, I guess. My insecurities don't have to do with my body so much. I know that is like interesting, but I used to deal with it for a long time, like insecurities about my body. Like I used to have really bad social anxiety. I would skip out on school. I would literally have panic attacks over what I should wear because I was just so freaking insecure. Also, like I have been in the body that I'm in right now since I was 12, and I feel like I shot up. Like I literally was like 5'5" in the beginning of middle school, which is pretty tall for a middle schooler. And then by the end of it, I was where I'm at now, which is 5'10". So, yeah, I'm a tall gal. So I was like so tall, like taller than my classmates. And then I've always been bigger. I've always had weight issues, I guess. Well, I'm not even going to call them weight issues. They are not issues. I have just always been a little bigger, and that's okay. I just made that realization now. I'm not calling them weight issues anymore because they're literally not. It's the way my body is. Like, I have always been this way. And therefore, it took me a while to accept that because I think I compared myself a lot to other people, especially in middle school, because I was like, I just feel like I'm this really big person. And all of my friends are really small. Like, my best friend in middle school was literally over a foot shorter than me. So I just felt like a freak, and it took me a while to like get secure with my body. But honestly, it takes a lot of self-control to not focus on it. And, yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say is it takes a lot of self-control. And I'll do a whole episode on, I guess, what some people will say like body positivity, but I don't even know whether or not I like that word because I've seen a lot of arguments on it where like it's attached to beauty, and like beauty has so many different standards that do we want to be attached to that? Anyway, so yeah, but I guess I used to have a ton of insecurities, and then this is so random, and I know that you guys probably wouldn't think that this would affect my insecurities, but I had a major hip injury when I was I was a sophomore in high school. So it was after my freshman year, like literally summer of sophomore year. So I was barely out of my freshman year, and I had a hip injury, and I had to have this major hip surgery that made me disabled for almost a year. And honestly, it changed my life, and it changed the way that I look at myself, because now whenever I think about those things, I think there's so much more to life than my insecurities. I always think, I know this is like random, but I'm like, hey, at least I can walk. Like I know that's crazy to say, but it's so true. And that year was life-changing for me. And I really feel like that took away a lot of my insecurities for me because I just needed to get healthy. It doesn't matter what I look like. I need to get healthy. And I gained a lot of weight from that time because I wasn't walking, and I just had to kind of get over it. I was like, this is just where I'm at right now. I'm focused on not being in pain anymore rather than like being insecure about the way I look. So I feel like that was really kind of what pushed me over the edge. Also, being insecure is really miserable. I have a lot of friends who deal with insecurities that vocalize them a lot. And I'm like, dude, you just sound totally miserable, like talking shit about yourself all day. Like the way that I used to talk about myself, I would never talk about somebody else. And I think I realized that early on, and that made me think that's wrong. Like I would never talk the way that I talk about myself, about anybody else, and that is wrong. And I'm so thankful that I went through that at an early age. And I think that I wouldn't have gone through that if I didn't have my hip injury. So I'm sure that I will talk more about those things. But yeah, I guess for me, when I'm most insecure is when I'm around other insecure people or around people who constantly put themselves down. I was on a trip once with a group of girls, and a couple of the girls just kept putting themselves down. They were like, oh, I'm so fat. Like, I look so ugly. When I, in my head, was like, I am definitely the fattest girl in the room, and I'm definitely uglier than you guys. And so that brought out a lot of insecurities in me. And I feel like I still struggle with that. And so therefore, I am super careful who I surround myself with. And if I have close friends, and they say stuff like that, I try to be brave and talk to them about it. Like, hey, when you say things out loud, not only is that bad for you, but it's bad for the people around you, and you need to be careful. And I always think about, like, someday if I have kids, if I have girls specifically, I would never want them to see me talk like that. And, you know, words that you say have power. And so why would I want to hand power over to my insecurities by saying them out loud? So anyway, that has to do with that. And I guess my insecurities sometimes have to do with, like, if I'm in groups of people, and there's someone who's more outgoing than me or has more personality than me, I kind of tend to shut down because I feel insecure, if that makes sense. So I guess that's the only insecurity that I, like, genuinely struggle with. But I think that we all just criticize ourselves way more than other people criticize ourselves. That makes sense. Like, I criticize myself way more than anyone criticizes me. And so I try to keep that in mind. And I honestly just try not to think about it. And it's not like I'm harboring, like, all this insecurity deep down inside of me. I just genuinely try not to think about it, and it goes away. But anyway, I'll do a whole separate episode on that kind of stuff. I need more time to, like, sit and really process what I have gone through and really process, like, what I'd like to say to you all. But that's what I have to say for now. A lot of you have asked about my hair care routine. Just kidding. I hate when people say that, but nobody actually asks them. But this is something that people actually ask me to talk about. They've asked me to do, like, an episode or to talk about church and my experience with that and why I left and what I used to believe and things like that. I'm not quite ready to dive deep into that yet, and I'll explain why. First of all, for people who don't know me or don't know what I used to believe, I grew up in a Christian church, a non-denominational Christian church called City Church. It's now called Church Home. And at Church Home, they believe that everything... At Church Home, they believe everything that the Bible is true. It's from the Word of God. And in the Bible, it tells a story about Jesus, who is God's son, who came down to earth to die for our sins. And the only way that you can have an afterlife or be right with God is to let Jesus be the Lord of your life. And so that is something that I have believed for most of my life, nearly all of it. And I believed it growing up, and I did an internship at Church Home, and it was just my life. I mean, I remember when I first found out that not everybody's a Christian, I was shook and shocked is what I would call it. Like, I was literally shaken to the core. And so it was truly my life. When I was a kid, we went like 3 days a week, and that's where all of my friends were from, and it was just, like, actually my life. When I was an intern, I was about from 18 to 20. I was an intern, and during that time, I started to question everything, and some pieces of the religion were just not adding up for me. And also a huge part of what I went through was I felt hurt by some people in the church. It was some isolated instances, but also there was a big one where I shared something with a leader and they used that against me, and it was really hurtful for me. And obviously, like, you know, people are not perfect, and I've come to genuinely understand that. Like, I know this sounds crazy, and you guys are gonna think this is crazy, but when I was back in church as an intern, I kind of connected the church people and God almost as one, if that makes sense. Like, if this leader would hurt me, like, then that must be what God thinks, or whatever they say is what God thinks, if that makes sense, which is kind of scary because, you know, God is obviously bigger and above all these people, and yet in my head I connected the two. And then also I just really saw that I was disagreeing with the church a lot with, like, decisions, things of that nature. And the church also so obviously does not give opportunities to people of color and women the same way they do men. And that just really aggravated me. And I was outspoken about that. I talked to the people I worked with about it, and I just kind of got pushed to the side. And that was really hurtful for me because I felt like I put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, not only for me, but for other people, and kind of just didn't go anywhere. So there was that. I also was just like so burnt out. I mean, it was like 20 years of my life following this and feeling pressured to work every day. I mean, it's like a second job being in a religion. Like, I'm sure that a lot of people feel that way, whether you were in Christianity or being a Mormon or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever. Sometimes religion literally feels like it's your second job, and it's hard work and it's exhausting. And I just got really exhausted, and I had not a lot of leaders. I had a couple leaders in my life who would tell me that they were disappointed in me, that I needed to do more, and that I needed to get my shit together. Obviously not those words. And so I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And right now, I'm not at any conclusions as to what I believe. I am thankful for this quarantine because it has helped me take time to address the hurts that I have within myself and forgive the people that had hurt me from the church. And I can genuinely say that I have forgiven those people. But I do have a hard time with what I believe still, and I'm at a place where I just don't know. And that is okay to me. A lot of people don't think that's okay. A lot of people in my life think that that's wrong, that I should know, that I studied all of this. Like, how do I not have answers? And I just don't. And I know that's okay. In my heart, I know that's okay. And ever since I have left the church, I can say that life has gone up. I'm not joking. Like, I have never felt more myself. I am more inclusive and loving towards people. I deal with less anxiety. I've had so many awesome opportunities come my way, and I have met people and had people involved in my life who have forever changed me. And that wouldn't have happened if I stayed. Because in church, you're in such a bubble where it's like you only want to be around Christian people and you only want to have those influences. And getting out has really opened my eyes to the world, I guess, in a positive way. And I think a lot of people are going to be upset with some of the things that I have to say. And I'm not sorry. I mean, I just want to like tell my truth, and I don't want to be mean. I think at first, when I first left, I was so hurt. I was so pissed off that I was just mean to people. Like, I would literally shut them down. I would be like, you're stupid. Like, don't talk to me about that shit. And now I'm like, I need to be more open. Like, I need to understand where all people are coming from, no matter what. And if I want to be this open, loving person who accepts everybody, and that's a huge reason why I left the church, then I need to actually live that out, even to Christians. So, yeah. And I know that a lot of my friends personally have struggled with this too. A lot of my friends are from church. Some people are still involved. Some people aren't. I've lost a lot of friends since I've left the church because some people are just straight up uncomfortable with it. They are not okay with the way I have lived. I've even had some family members who don't want to talk to me anymore about it. Or not about it, but don't want to talk to me anymore because of it. I even have some family members who don't want to talk to me anymore because of it. And that's probably one of the hardest things I've had to deal with since leaving the church, is that fact. It is really difficult because I'm like, I left and I would never not want to talk to you again. And yet when I do the opposite, I don't know. It's just bizarre to me. And I think it's crazy that, the church was always like unconditional love and Jesus loves all people and accepts all people. And they preach a lot of stuff, but then when those things actually really hit them in real life, they don't always follow through. And that's just what I've seen. So I guess at the end of the day, I know that I don't ever want to go back to church. And I know that I don't want to be involved in church again. But I don't know what I believe. One thing that I do believe is I do believe that there's a God. I do believe that there's a higher power. Like, there's just no way that we all just are here with no purpose and no reason and have nothing beyond this life. That's just something that I believe, but I don't have all the answers. One of the things that I like to do, though, that I've taken from spirituality is prayer. Obviously, like, I believe that there's a God, or at least a higher power out there. I don't know all the details, and I might not ever, and that's okay. I might not ever come to conclusions, but I do love prayer. I think that prayer has helped me so much with my anxiety, because even though it's just talking and it feels like you're just talking to dead space, I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. But I just feel like it takes down my anxiety. It gets things off my chest, and I have seen things come from it. So I believe in that. I remember when COVID first broke out, and at my work, people would literally call and they'd be like, "Why are you closed? Do you know what's going on?" Ah! Like, they would literally like yell at me. And I always wanted to be like, hey, can we just take a moment to pray? You've obviously got a lot of stress and anxiety. Let's just take a moment to pray. But I'd probably get fired from that. No, I definitely would. Anyway, that's just a temptation I had. But anyway, so let's end this podcast on a prayer. Just kidding. Let's get into the close friends list of the week. The first one is at Caleb Says Things. This is a comedian. He's from Chicago, I think, or at least that's where I know him to be from. He is so funny. Like, I'm not joking. His Instagram and his Twitter are hilarious. He does a lot of impressions of influencers and CEOs that are just outstanding, just wonderful. He did this one about, like, a CEO talks about the unprecedented times of COVID. And it was so funny the whole time. He's just like, in these unprecedented times, we're making budget cuts, so you will not have healthcare anymore. Like, it's literally just so funny. So he does a lot of impressions and stand up, and he's just really, really a funny guy. One of my favorite follows right now. Another one is Anxiety Well-Being. It's anxiety_well-being. That account has helped me so much. I have honestly had a lot of anxiety this week. I still struggle with it. Not on a daily basis like I used to, but I definitely do struggle with it time to time. And, there's been a lot of things going on. Like, I'm going back to work after being in almost 5 months of quarantine. And there's kind of like stress and anxiety around that, anxiety around things that are going on in our world. I mean, all of the stuff going on, I don't even have time to get into it, but there's just a lot going on, from the pandemic to protesting to Black Lives Matter to just tension in our country. Like, is our country going to end? I don't know. But anyway, sorry, I'm going on a anxiety rampage, and that's why I need this Instagram account. Anxiety Wellbeing just has a lot of great self-help tips. I love some of the things that I've read on there. I've saved a lot of things. They also talk a lot about prevention and like early warning signs of anxiety. And, it's good to recognize, okay, I am having anxiety, and that is okay. This is not a forever place I'm going to be in. Just how can I help myself be in a better place? So I love this Instagram. I think it's so helpful for me personally. Wait. Going back to insecurities on before this last person that's on our close friends list, one of the things that I literally had to do was I had to start unfollowing people on Instagram that gave me unrealistic body expectations, because it was just very toxic for me. So I started unfollowing those types of people, and I started following thick, friendly gals like Arlette Jeanette. She is one of my favorite fashion bloggers and just fashion people. I think she only does like YouTube and Instagram. I don't know why we call them all bloggers, but anyway. And she looks like me. She's honestly body goals. She's so curvy and so cute, and I love all the outfits she get. I've honestly bought a lot of clothes off of the suggestions that she gives. And so I'm just really thankful to have her Instagram be all up in my feed. I also love the things that she talks about. She talks about body positivity. One of the most recent things she posted was, and it says, "I love this body, period." Sometimes I get comments of people saying I would, quote, look perfect if I lost a few. So I would like to address this thought. My body is already perfect to me. I feel whole in this body. My soul feels right in this size. My limbs work and they serve me properly. This body is beautiful as is right now. And if you believe differently, you can keep your thoughts to yourself, because at the end of the day, it's my body and mine only. Oh, just a true queen. She posts a lot of things like that, and I just love to see it, love to read it. It's inspiring to me, and she is such a great follow. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Close Friends List podcast. Podcast episodes go live every single Friday wherever you get your podcasts and YouTube. So that's Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, wherever. You can find it in the link in my bio at my Instagram, The Close Friends List. And you can also email at theclosefriendslist@gmail.com if you have any feedback, constructive criticism. Just kidding. Please don't. But if you have any ideas, if you want to do another AMA episode, let me know. I love to hear from all the people that listen. Thank you for supporting. Number one way you can support is by writing a review on iTunes, so that we get those views up. So please go write. And I know I just said that I literally was not going to thirst out for the reviews, but here I am thirsting out for the reviews. So if you want a review on iTunes, that would be so awesome. We already have one amazingly written, descriptive review written by one of my friends, Judah Huffman. So even if you want to go and read that, it's pretty intense. He said that this podcast saved his life. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.